Welcome to Ancient Chronicles AI. Here, we cross the line between what is known and what is denied, stepping into the lost civilization beneath the Sahara. Chapter 1. The Desert That Remembers. Satellite scans reveal geometric anomalies beneath the dunes of the Sahara, structures too precise to be natural, hinting at a forgotten civilization buried under thousands of years of sand. The Sahara stretched endlessly beneath the orbiting satellite, a golden ocean frozen in time, its dunes shifting like the slow breath of a sleeping giant. Dr. Layla Idris leaned over the monitor as the satellite feed sharpened, revealing faint geometric shadows beneath the sand, lines too straight, angles too perfect to be the work of nature. The shapes formed a vast pattern spanning miles, a buried grid that resembled the blueprint of a forgotten city swallowed by the desert's relentless hunger. She enhanced the contrast, and the dunes dissolved into a ghostly map of rectangles, circles, and corridors, as if the earth itself were whispering secrets long buried. The anomalies pulsed faintly on the screen, their symmetry mocking the chaos of the surrounding landscape, like the bones of a civilization refusing to be erased. Layla felt her pulse quicken as she traced the outlines of what appeared to be colossal foundations, structures larger than any known ancient city in North Africa. The Sahara, once a lush green world of rivers and forests, had become a graveyard of forgotten epics, and now it seemed ready to reveal one of its greatest mysteries. She zoomed out, and the geometric shapes multiplied, forming a network that stretched far beyond the initial scan, suggesting a metropolis of impossible scale. The data indicated that the structures lay at depths consistent with a cataclysmic burial event, as if the desert had swallowed them in a single violent moment. Layla whispered that no known civilization had ever built anything like this, yet the evidence glowed unmistakably beneath the sands. The satellite's thermal imaging revealed cooler zones beneath the dunes, hinting at hollow chambers, tunnels, and possibly entire complexes preserved by the desert's dryness. She felt as though she were staring at the heartbeat of an ancient world, a pulse that had been silent for thousands of years, but was now stirring again. The geometric precision suggested advanced engineering, far beyond what historians believed possible for the region's ancient cultures. Layla saved the images, her hands trembling, knowing that this discovery would challenge everything scholars thought they knew about early human civilization. The Sahara had always been a place of myth, home to lost kingdoms, vanished tribes, and whispered legends of cities swallowed by sandstorms. But this was no legend. This was evidence, cold and mathematical, carved into the earth like a message from a forgotten age. She imagined the city as it once was, bustling streets, towering structures, rivers flowing where dunes now stood, a civilization thriving before the desert claimed it. The satellite beeped softly, marking new anomalies, each one confirming that the Sahara was not empty, but layered with the ruins of a world erased by time. Layla exhaled slowly, realizing she had just uncovered the first chapter of a story buried beneath 10,000 years of silence. And as the sun rose over the desert, the dunes shimmered as if aware that their long-kept secret had finally been seen. Chapter 2. The Green Sahara Mystery. Researchers uncover evidence that the Sahara was once a lush, thriving world of rivers, forests, and cities, raising the question, who lived there before the desert consumed everything? The research team gathered around the holographic projection as ancient river systems lit up across the Sahara, glowing like veins beneath the skin of a long-dead giant. Dr. Layla Idris watched in awe as the simulation reconstructed a world unrecognizable from the barren desert she had spent her life studying. The Sahara transformed before her eyes into a paradise of emerald plains, winding rivers, and vast lakes that shimmered like mirrors beneath a gentle sun. Fossilized pollen samples revealed forests of acacia and palm, while sediment cores whispered of wetlands teeming with life. Satellite scans uncovered the ghostly outlines of ancient riverbeds stretching hundreds of miles, their paths too deliberate to be mere accidents of nature. Layla felt a strange ache in her chest as she realized the Sahara had once been a cradle of life, not the wasteland history had painted it to be. Archaeologists unearthed stone tools, pottery fragments, and hearth remains buried deep beneath the dunes, evidence of human presence older than any known civilization in the region. The artifacts hinted at a culture advanced enough to thrive in a landscape rich with water, wildlife, and fertile soil. But the deeper they dug, the stranger the discoveries became. Carvings of unfamiliar symbols, geometric patterns, and star maps etched into stone. These relics did not match the known styles of early African or Mediterranean cultures, suggesting a people whose identity had been erased by time. Layla studied the carvings and felt as though she were staring at the fingerprints of a forgotten world, a civilization swallowed by sand before history could remember its name. The team uncovered remnants of irrigation channels, their precision hinting at engineering knowledge far beyond what was expected for the era. Ancient lakebeds revealed fish bones and animal remains from species that no longer existed in the region, proof of an ecosystem lost to the ages. The Sahara's transformation from paradise to desert had been sudden, violent, and absolute, a climate shift so catastrophic it buried entire cities beneath dunes taller than buildings. Layla wondered who had lived in this green world, who had walked its forests, sailed its rivers, and built its cities before the sands claimed everything. The evidence suggested a population large enough to sustain complex societies, yet no written records of them survived in any known culture. It was as if the desert had not only buried their cities, but erased their memory from the world's collective story. The more Layla uncovered, the more she sensed that the Sahara was not a desert by nature, but a tomb, a burial ground for a civilization lost to time. She felt the weight of the mystery pressing against her, urging her deeper into the sands, deeper into the truth the earth had tried to hide. And as the sun set over the dunes, the desert glowed with a quiet, ancient pride, as if remembering the world it once had been. Chapter 3. The Vanished Kingdom of the Sand Sea, Ancient Myths from Egypt. Berber tribes and early Arabian storytellers all speak of a powerful kingdom, swallowed by a great drought, a kingdom whose ruins may still lie beneath the dunes. The fire crackled softly in the desert night as Berber elders recited stories older than their own bloodlines, tales of a kingdom that once ruled the heart of the Sahara. They spoke of a land called Zahir, the city of radiance, whose towers shone like polished gold beneath a sky filled with rivers of migrating birds. Egyptian priests wrote of a Western empire so wealthy that its kings wore crowns of meteor iron and commanded armies that marched across green plains now lost to sand. Early Arabian storytellers whispered of a realm swallowed by a divine punishment, a drought so fierce it turned forests to dust and cities to tombs. Dr. Layla Idris listened to these legends with growing fascination, realizing that every culture surrounding the Sahara carried a version of the same forgotten story. The myths described a kingdom that mastered irrigation, astronomy, and stonecraft long before the rise of Egypt or Mesopotamia. Some tales claimed its people could read the stars, like scripture, predicting floods, droughts, and the turning of the seasons with uncanny precision. Others spoke of a queen whose wisdom rivaled the sun, a ruler who built libraries carved into cliffs and temples aligned with constellations now shifted in the sky. Layla compared the myths to her satellite scans, and the geometric patterns beneath the dunes matched the layouts described in the ancient stories. The legends told of a final drought, a sky that refused to rain, a sun that grew merciless, and winds that carried sand like blades. The kingdom fought the desert with canals, reservoirs, and stone barriers, but the sands rose faster than they could build. Entire cities vanished in a single generation, swallowed by dunes that moved like living creatures, devouring everything in their path. The survivors fled north, east, and south, carrying fragments of their culture into the civilizations that would one day rise around the Sahara's edges. Layla realized that the myths were not exaggerations, but memories, echoes of a real kingdom erased by a climate catastrophe so sudden it defied imagination. Archaeological fragments supported the stories, pottery styles that appeared suddenly in distant regions, stone tools found far from their origin, and symbols identical across cultures that never met. The more she studied, the more she sensed that Sahara had been a hub of knowledge, a beacon of ancient innovation whose disappearance left a void in human history. Some myths claimed the kingdom had sealed its greatest secrets in underground chambers, waiting for a future generation to rediscover them. Others warned that the desert itself guarded the ruins, shifting to hide them from those unworthy of their knowledge. Layla felt the weight of these stories pressing against her, urging her deeper into the mystery buried beneath the sand sea. And as the desert winds howled across the dunes, it seemed to whisper the name of the vanished kingdom, as if longing to be remembered. Chapter 4. The Subterranean Map Ground. Penetrating radar reveals an underground network of tunnels, reservoirs, and colossal stone chambers stretching for miles, suggesting advanced engineering far older than known civilizations. The radar screen flickered with ghostly shapes as Dr. Layla Idris adjusted the frequency, watching the dunes dissolve into a lattice of hidden structures beneath the sand. What emerged was not a scatter of ruins, but a vast, interconnected network, a subterranean city carved with precision that defied its impossible age. The tunnels stretched for miles in perfect alignment, forming a geometric grid that mirrored the constellations overhead as they appeared thousands of years ago. Massive chambers appeared on the scan, their walls so thick and uniform they suggested engineering techniques far beyond anything known from early desert cultures. Layla traced the outlines of what looked like reservoirs, enormous underground lakes sealed beneath stone, preserved in the desert's dry embrace. The radar revealed staircases descending into darkness, corridors branching like veins, and circular halls that resembled ancient observatories buried deep below. Each chamber was connected by angled passageways that formed a pattern too deliberate to be coincidence, as if the entire complex had been designed as a single, unified machine. Layla felt her breath catch as she realized the structures were not random. They were part of a master plan, a blueprint of staggering sophistication. The tunnels were reinforced with stone blocks cut so precisely that even after millennia, the seams were nearly invisible. Some chambers were so large they could have housed thousands of people, suggesting the underground city was not a refuge but a thriving metropolis. The deeper the radar probed, the more the map expanded, revealing layers upon layers of construction, as though generations had built downward instead of upward. Layla wondered whether the people of Sahara had anticipated the coming drought and retreated underground, building a hidden world to survive the desert's wrath. The reservoirs hinted at advanced water management, capturing ancient rivers and storing them in sealed caverns to outlast the drying of the land. One chamber glowed brighter than the rest on the scan, its shape perfectly circular, its walls thicker than any other, a central hub, a heart of the buried kingdom. Layla marked it on the map, sensing that whatever secrets the lost civilization had guarded, they were locked within that colossal chamber. The radar detected metallic signatures within the tunnels, materials unknown to the region, hinting at technologies lost to time. The subterranean map grew so complex that the team had to layer it digitally, each level revealing new mysteries hidden beneath the previous one. Layla felt as though she were uncovering the nervous system of an ancient giant, a living architecture designed with purpose and intelligence. The Sahara, once thought empty, now revealed itself as a labyrinth of forgotten brilliance, a world buried not by accident but by catastrophe. And as Layla stared at the glowing map, she knew the desert had not merely hidden a city, it had entombed a civilization that had once mastered the earth beneath their feet. Chapter 5. The flood of sand geological evidence points to a sudden climate shift, a catastrophic desertification event that buried entire cities in sand within a single generation, erasing a civilization from memory. The drilling rig groaned as it pulled up a core sample from deep beneath the dunes, revealing a sudden, violent transition from fertile soil to sterile sand. Dr. Layla Idris examined the layers, each one a silent witness to a world transformed in the blink of an eye. The soil from the lower strata was rich with pollen, seeds, and traces of freshwater algae, proof of a thriving ecosystem that had once covered the Sahara. But just above it lay a thick band of wind-blown sand, sharp-edged and uniform, indicating a catastrophic desertification event that struck with terrifying speed. Layla ran her fingers along the boundary layer, feeling the abruptness of the shift as if touching the moment the world had changed. Geologists confirmed that the transition occurred within a single generation, far too rapid to be explained by natural climate cycles alone. The evidence pointed to a chain reaction, a collapse of monsoon patterns, a shift in Earth's tilt, or perhaps a volcanic winter that starved the land of rain. Whatever the cause, the result had been absolute. Rivers dried, forests died, and the once green Sahara became a furnace of heat and wind. Satellite imagery revealed ancient riverbeds abruptly ending in dunes, as if the waterways had been severed by an invisible blade. Layla imagined the people of Zahir watching their world crumble, lakes shrinking, crops failing, storms of sand devouring their fields. The desert winds grew stronger, carrying dunes that moved like living beasts, swallowing villages, temples, and entire cities in a single season. Archaeologists found skeletons buried mid-stride, frozen in the act of fleeing, their homes entombed beneath meters of sand. The suddenness of the burial preserved artifacts with eerie clarity, pottery still intact, tools left on tables, murals sealed behind walls of sand. It was as if time itself had paused, trapping the last moments of a civilization that had no chance to escape. Layla studied the sediment layers and realized the desert had not grown gradually. It had fallen, like a tidal wave of sand crashing over the land. The catastrophe was so complete that even oral traditions struggled to survive, leaving only fragmented myths scattered across distant cultures. The Sahara's dunes, once thought timeless, were revealed as the aftermath of a disaster so immense it reshaped an entire continent. Layla felt the weight of the tragedy pressing against her, the grief of a world erased before it could leave its mark on history. The flood of sand had not only buried a kingdom, it had buried its memory, its achievements, its people, and its voice. And as Layla gazed across the endless dunes, she sensed that the desert still mourned the world it had consumed. Chapter 6. The Language of the Forgotten Archaeologists uncovered tablets and carvings with symbols unlike any known script, hinting at a culture with its own mathematics, astronomy, and spiritual system, a culture that predates Egypt. The stone tablet emerged from the sand like a fossilized heartbeat, its surface etched with symbols that shimmered faintly under the desert sun. Dr. Layla Idris brushed away the final grains of sand and felt a jolt of recognition, not because she understood the script, but because it resembled nothing she had ever seen. The symbols were arranged in spirals, grids, and star-shaped clusters, as if the writers had blended mathematics with art to create a language of pure logic. Some characters resembled constellations, others geometric equations, and others still looked like stylized depictions of sound or breath. Layla realized she was holding the first written evidence of a culture that predated Egypt, Sumer, and every known cradle of civilization. Nearby, the team uncovered a stone pillar carved with vertical lines that pulsed with meaning, as though the symbols were designed to be read in motion, not stillness. The carvings depicted celestial diagrams, star paths, lunar cycles, and solar arcs, mapped with a precision that rivaled modern astronomy. One tablet showed a sequence of numbers ranged in a spiral, hinting at an early understanding of ratios, harmonics, and perhaps even prime sequences. Layla felt as though she were staring at the blueprint of a forgotten scientific tradition, one that blended spirituality and mathematics into a single worldview. The symbols repeated across multiple artifacts, suggesting a unified writing system rather than isolated artistic expression. Some carvings depicted robed figures holding instruments shaped like compasses, astrolabes, or tuning forks, tools far ahead of their time. Others showed scenes of rituals performed beneath star-aligned temples, hinting at a spiritual system rooted in cosmic order rather than earthly gods. Layla compared the symbols to known scripts, hieroglyphs, cuneiform, proto-Sinaitic, but none matched the elegance or complexity of the Sahara glyphs. The more she studied them, the more she sensed that this language was not merely written communication, but a philosophy encoded in symbols. One tablet contained a circular diagram divided into 8 segments, each filled with unique glyphs, as if representing 8 principles, clans, or cosmic forces. Layla wondered whether this was the key to understanding the vanished kingdom, a linguistic map of their worldview, their science, and their fate. The carvings grew stranger the deeper they dug, revealing symbols that seemed to merge human forms with celestial patterns, as though the people saw themselves as part of the cosmos. Some tablets were cracked, their edges burned, suggesting they had been hastily buried or rescued from a catastrophe before being lost to the sand. Layla felt the weight of the discovery pressing against her, the realization that she was reading the last whispers of a civilization erased before history began. And as she held the tablet to the fading light, the symbols seemed to glow faintly, as if the forgotten language were awakening after thousands of years of silence. Chapter 7. The Guardians of the Dunes. Local tribes speak of ancient protectors, spirits or survivors who hid the knowledge of the lost civilization to prevent it from falling into the wrong hands, a warning that echoes across centuries. The desert night was still when the elder approached Dr. Layla Idris, his weathered face illuminated by the flickering glow of the campfire. He spoke in a low, steady voice, telling her that the Sahara was not empty but watched, guarded by those who remembered what the sands had buried. The Tuareg called them Kel Amun, the people of the hidden, spirit survivors who walked the dunes unseen, protecting the secrets of the lost kingdom. Berber legends described them as wanderers with eyes like starlight, appearing only when outsiders ventured too close to forbidden places. Arabian storytellers spoke of al-Hafizun, the keepers, who carried the last fragments of ancient knowledge and vowed never to let it be misused again. Layla listened as the elder recited a tale of a tribe that vanished into the desert centuries ago, leaving behind no graves, no bones, only footprints that ended abruptly in the sand. Some believed they had descended into the subterranean tunnels, choosing to guard the buried city from within rather than abandon it to time. Others claimed they had become something more than human, spirits bound to the dunes, guiding or warning those who dared disturb the past. The elder warned Layla that the desert did not reveal its secrets freely. It tested those who sought them, weighing their intentions like a silent judge. He told her of explorers who vanished without a trace, their camps found intact but their footprints erased as if swallowed by the sand itself. Layla felt a chill as he described nights when strange lights drifted across the dunes, moving with purpose, not wind. Some said the guardians protected the knowledge of Zahir because it was too powerful, too dangerous, too transformative for the modern world. Others believed the ancient civilization had foreseen its own destruction and entrusted its wisdom to a chosen few who survived the flood of sand. The elder handed Layla a small stone amulet carved with the same symbols she had found on the tablets, telling her it was a sign of respect or a warning. He said the guardians watched her work, and if she continued, she must do so with humility, for the desert punished arrogance without mercy. Layla felt the weight of his words settle over her like a veil, a reminder that she was not merely uncovering ruins, but trespassing into a legacy fiercely protected. The wind rose suddenly, swirling sand around the camp as if echoing the elder's caution, whispering through the dunes like a voice from another age. Layla looked out into the darkness and sensed eyes upon her, not hostile, but ancient, patient, and impossibly aware. She realized then that the Sahara was not just a graveyard of forgotten worlds. It was a sanctuary guarded by those who refused to let history repeat its mistakes. And as the fire crackled softly, she knew the guardians of the dunes were watching, waiting to see what she would uncover next. Chapter 8. The Awakening Beneath the Sands. A final excavation uncovers a sealed chamber containing artifacts, star maps, and a mechanism suggesting the lost civilization possessed knowledge far beyond its era, and that the desert may soon reveal more. The chamber door emerged from the sand like the lid of a buried tomb, its stone surface carved with symbols that pulsed faintly in the desert light. Dr. Layla Idris brushed away the last grains and felt a tremor beneath her fingertips, as if the stone itself recognized her presence. The seal was flawless, untouched by time, its edges fused with a precision that suggested tools far beyond the capabilities of ancient stonecutters. When the team activated the hydraulic lift, the door slid open with a whisper, releasing a breath of cool air that had been trapped for thousands of years. Inside, the chamber glowed with a soft, golden light reflected from polished walls engraved with star maps older than any known celestial record. Layla stepped inside and felt as though she had entered the mind of the lost civilization, a sanctuary where knowledge had been preserved against the coming catastrophe. At the center of the room stood a circular platform covered in concentric rings of symbols, each one aligned with constellations that no longer matched the modern sky. The carvings depicted the rise and fall of the green Sahara, the flood of sand, and a prophecy of a future awakening when the desert would shift again. Layla's breath caught as she realized the star maps were not merely historical. They were predictive, charting cycles of climate and cosmic alignment with impossible accuracy. Beside the platform lay artifacts of unknown purpose, crystalline rods, metallic discs, and a device shaped like an astrolabe fused with a compass. The mechanism responded to her touch, its rings rotating silently until they aligned with the star map on the ceiling, casting patterns of light across the chamber. The symbols illuminated in sequence, forming a message that seemed to pulse with intention, as if the ancient engineers had anticipated this moment. Layla realized the mechanism was not ceremonial, but functional, a tool for measuring celestial cycles, predicting climate shifts, and perhaps even guiding migrations. The chamber walls depicted the people of Zahir descending into the earth as the desert rose, entrusting their knowledge to the future rather than letting it die with them. One mural showed rogue figures sealing the chamber, their faces solemn, their hands raised in a gesture of farewell to a world they knew would vanish. Another depicted a future generation uncovering the chamber, the symbols glowing just as they did now, as if the past had been waiting for this exact moment. Layla felt the weight of destiny settle upon her, the realization that she was not merely discovering history, but fulfilling a design set in motion millennia ago. The mechanism hummed softly, its rings shifting again, projecting a new pattern of light that rippled across the chamber like a heartbeat awakening. The dunes outside trembled as if stirred by something deep beneath the surface, a reminder that the desert was not dead, but sleeping. And as Layla stepped back into the sunlight, she knew the Sahara had only begun to reveal its secrets, for the awakening beneath the sands had already begun. If you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you never miss what comes next. Until then, stay curious, stay aware, and keep searching the shadows. Take care.